Yo, what is up, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video. We've got another big trade to cover. The trade deadline has just came and went. I live streamed my reactions to the last hour. If you want to go watch that live stream kind of VOD, it's on my channel. Go check it out. But I just want to make one more video recapping a singular trade before I start dropping my overall trade deadline recap videos, which you will see later today or tomorrow. I have to cover the Kristaps Porzingis trade because this one, if you watch my reaction on the live stream, I was stunned that this ended up happening. I can't believe it. Still, even now, and it's been like an hour and a half, I still don't believe that this happened. So let's break down all the details of the trade. The Mavericks had reportedly been looking to move some salary, whether it was Tim Hardaway Jr. or like a Kristaps Porzingis. So it was on the table that someone would get moved from Dallas, but the package that they got back is, how do I put this, really bad in terms of the players that they brought in, and it just doesn't make sense. So the full package is, it is Kristaps Porzingis to the Wizards for Spencer Dinwiddie, Davis Bertans, and the Mavericks also send a second-round pick to the Wizards. So Kristaps in a second for Bertans and Dinwiddie, and it's a pretty underwhelming package coming back to the Dallas Mavericks. We'll start with their side of things. Davis Bertans is not very good. His one thing he's supposed to do is shoot, and maybe he will be better with a facilitator like Luka Doncic. Maybe he just needs a change of scenery, but Bertans is on a big contract. He's making $80 million over the next, or he got an $80 million 5-year contract. There's still 3 years left on that, I believe, so including a player option, so maybe even 4. So Bertans is on like 16, 17, even $18 million by the end of it for the next few years. So that's a lot of salary that you're under, and unless he starts to improve his play, that's a very bad contract. You add in the fact that Spencer Dinwiddie just got signed to a massive deal in this offseason by the Washington Wizards, coming off of an ACL injury, and over the course of this season, Dinwiddie's been not just like disappointing, he's been straight up bad. He's averaging 12.6 points per game on 37.6% shooting from the field, 31% from 3, 4.7 rebounds, 5.8 assists. It's been really bad from Spencer Dinwiddie, especially when you factor in his contract. So they traded Kristaps Porzingis' contract, which given is a big contract and isn't a great contract for him, especially because he has a hard time staying on the floor sometimes. He's missed like half their games this season. I believe he's only played 63% of their games since coming to the Dallas Mavericks. But they're the 5th seed in the Western Conference right now, and when he's played, they've been really solid. They've been around a 600 winning percentage, both with and without him, so it's not necessarily that they need him, but he definitely raises their ceiling if he plays up to the level that he's capable of. I don't think Bertans and Dinwiddie really raise this team's ceiling at all, and that should be the goal. So if it's not the goal, if the goal isn't to raise your ceiling, then it must be to like clear up salary. But no, they brought in 2 bad contracts that are super long-term. They're not even expiring money. These are long-term bad contracts. Maybe they're banking on Dinwiddie to turn things around in a big way, and maybe he can, but I don't really know how much he's going to thrive as a secondary option next to Luka Doncic. I don't even know who their secondary scoring option is at this point. Because at least with Kristaps, they had someone else who could put up consistent scoring outings. Now it's Luka Doncic and like maybe Dinwiddie if he comes back to it, but I don't think Dinwiddie can be your second option on a championship winning team. Maybe Jalen Brunson, but now even Jalen Brunson, who's been starting at the 1 for them, do they move him back to the bench and you put Dinwiddie in the starting lineup? But Brunson's been playing way better than Dinwiddie this season, so do you bench Dinwiddie and then you've just got that massive contract for a 6-man? I don't get it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, especially when you factor in the fact that, reportedly, Goran Dragic is going to get bought out by the Spurs, who he just got traded to. I'll talk about that in my video. But he's supposed to get bought out and maybe go to the Dallas Mavericks, were considered the favorites. So that's now another guard they could bring in, but they don't need him anymore. So do they not bring him in? Or do they just bring him in and then have Spencer Dinwiddie, Jalen Brunson, Luka, and Goran Dragic as like ball handling guards? But then that's kind of, it gets too packed in there. I just don't get this for the Mavericks. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it makes more sense to one of y'all down below in the comments. But I feel like if you're going to trade Kristaps, the goal should have been to clear up salary, not bring in 2 long-term contracts for players that are both worse, maybe even combined worse than the guy that you're losing, even with the injury problems. Like Dinwiddie's coming off an ACL. You can, yeah, sure, you can bank on him maybe returning to form, but there's a chance he never does. And if he doesn't, that's an awful, awful contract. maybe he can start to thrive next to Luka. But even if Spencer Dinwiddie becomes the player that he was a couple seasons ago and kind of regains form, I still don't think that makes this team much better. They don't have much size now down low without Kristaps Porzingis. Bertans isn't a great shooter anymore, and he's got that massive contract. It just doesn't make sense for me. I know there's rumors that Luka didn't like Kristaps Porzingis. Sure, so maybe that helps your team out a little bit. But even so, I feel like there had to have been more that you could have gotten for Kristaps rather than 2 bad contracts, including a player in Spencer Dinwiddie who I don't really think fits very well anyways. They do need another ball handler. That is 100% true. But with the way that Dinwiddie's been shooting, he doesn't help Luka out. If he's going to shoot 30% from 3, he doesn't help out as a ball handler if he can't be a guy that can shoot. Because you need to have a guy that can come in and help that squad, but if he can't shoot, it doesn't help. Their whole team is built around defense and shooting, and Dinwiddie doesn't do either of those things great. Bertans, who's supposed to be a shooter, doesn't even shoot very well. I don't get this. It does not make sense for me. Now, from the Wizards side of things, I think this is a great deal for them. If their goal is to try and compete with Bradley Beal, which it seems like it is, this makes sense. Kristaps, when he's healthy, is a good player. He's like a genuinely pretty solid player. So if Bradley Beal comes back after this surgery that's going to take him out this rest of the season, and you go out and make a couple more moves, and you have a lineup of like Bradley Beal. Well, first of all, I don't know who plays point guard for them now. I guess Ish Smith, who they picked up at the trade deadline. The Wizards are probably going to tank this second half of the season. They also trade Montrezl Harrell. So there's going to be a lot of movement. I guess right now their lineups like Ish Smith, Bradley Beal. You put Kuzma at the 4, Kristaps at the 5, then you have Diha, Rui Hachimura somewhere in there. I don't know, but the Wizards have something interesting, at least they shook it up a little bit. It makes sense that they're trying to build around Bradley Beal. You bring in a player in Kristaps that's a former All-Star, and if he can be healthy now, that is a big if with Kristaps Porzingis. But Dinwiddie has not been a good fit. And Bertans' contract is huge, and you just don't need that on your books. So it makes sense to trade those 2 contracts for a guy with a lot higher upside in Kristaps Porzingis. And if you can't convince Beal to stay, if he wants to leave or whatever, I feel like Kristaps is tradable. And if at least he'll just give you someone to kind of have there as a star player, I guess, going forward as you transition, I'm sure he could be moved to another team. I'm positive about that, actually. So the Wizards, for me, come out way on top in this deal. Maybe somehow this works out for the Mavericks. Maybe Dinwiddie regains form. Bertans is a good shooter. But I thought this was also going to be followed up by another move, and just nothing happened. The Wizards made no more moves. Or not the Wizards, the Mavericks made no more moves after this. I don't know. They're the 5th seed in the Western Conference. I just don't think this was the move to make. This looks like a move to me that you could make in the offseason, maybe, trading and getting rid of Kristaps Porzingis' salary. But like, these aren't even expiring contracts. I don't get it. Wizards fans are celebrating in like Twitter spaces and on the timeline. I haven't seen a single Mavericks fan like this. If you're a Mavericks fan who likes this trade, let me know down below, because I'm genuinely curious what you see in this trade, because I'm trying to wrap my head around it a little bit. I just don't get it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So those are my thoughts on this trade. Like I said, I'm going to drop full recap videos going forward. So let me know if you want to see those, or what y'all want to see with those, whether it's like grades or like winners and losers type stuff. Also, grade your team's trade deadline in the comment section below. I'm curious, and let me know what you grade this trade for both sides. I really want to know what y'all think. So that's all I have to say about the Porzingis trade. I don't know. We'll see how it goes for the Mavericks going forward. But for right now, there's no way they couldn't have gotten more for Kristaps, is basically like my biggest thing. I don't know how they didn't get more for him. That's all. So I appreciate y'all watching. Let me know what you thought about this in the comment section below. I will see y'all later for some more trade deadline videos. Hope you had a good trade deadline, by the way. I appreciate y'all watching. I will see y'all later. Real one, say back.